Look me in the eye when I'm talking to you. Hi, I'm Brian LaFauci.
And I'm Patrick Marino.
And welcome back to another Art of Fatherhood video.
Welcome.
Yes, today we're going to talk about deep gazing, staring eye contact. Too much eye contact can be a little freaky, right?
Well, we're talking about the modern, how we grow our kids to be members of society through interactions with other people.
Absolutely. Eye contact is one of those things that I don't think we hit it home enough with our children, the importance of, especially nowadays when I can talk to you like this, and do this thing and we can have a conversation.
You and I do it all the time.
I went into a store yesterday.
Well, Brian's part of Gen Z.
Because I'm 29 years old.
Yeah, so he doesn't remember the world before the internet. But,
right.
But yeah. I remember growing up with.
Are you 6 months older than me? Is that what it is? It's like 6 or 7.
Oh, I'm younger than you.
You are?
Yeah.
But it's maybe 6 months.
I'm August 77.
Okay, yeah. So you're 6 months younger than me. 8 months younger than me.
I mean, but I clearly look way older.
Way older?
Yeah.
Take the hat off. Like look like this.
Yeah, but the hair doesn't mean.
Yeah, it does.
I know people who had no hair when did you start losing your hair?
Probably right around 30.
I know. I had a dude I freaking lived with. We were 25.
Yeah.
That dude was freaking bald.
Yeah.
Or you see dads, they're young. They have young kids. They're got to be like just 30, and they have no hair right there.
The Providence Friars were the basketball team. I have season tickets, and they had these two brothers. Fonts was their last name. One still plays. The other they're huge crowd favorites. They're not the best players. They're like last off the bench. Guys. Yeah, they are. They're two white brothers. And last off the bench. But when they go in, the crowd goes nuts. They only usually go in the early games before they get into the Big East play. Yeah. But where my seats are, it's kind of like right above their bench. And so I always used to look down and be like, no, they're 21, 22, right? I think the oldest one maybe redshirted a little bit. He's like early 20s. And they're balding. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, geez. I mean, they're a specimen. They're, D1 athlete, like specimen.
They're the Brian Scalabrine of the PC Friars basketball team.
Bald. I'm like, oh. Yeah, but anyways. Well, I
look him in the eye, Brian.
Look, I try to, but he's facing
the reason
why
I wear the hat is because now I'm going to be playing with my hair the whole time.
Yeah,
you have that problem too.
Yeah, all the time. You can put the hat back on. But so I was in the store the other day, and I was looking for a gift, and the obligatory, they come up to you to ask you if you need help. Happened, but
did you play the "May I Help You" guitar riff?
No, I did not.
Wayne's World. But I'm always referencing.
No, that's
May I help you? Sorry.
But but I actually did need help in this moment, and I looked up, and the woman was on her little like computer thing for the look up products in the store. And then I played the eye contact game. I'm like, how long is this motherfucker going to not look at me? How much of a conversation can we have with her staying looking down? So I kept it going. She's like, hey, how you doing? She's not looking at me. She's like, hey, how you doing? I'm like, good. Let me know if you need something. I think I'm going to need a little help in finding. Okay, I'm just going to go. But like the whole time didn't look up. It pissed me off. It really pissed me off. It was, it shouldn't bother me, but it really did.
I was on a date.
That would bother me even more, obviously.
I was on a date. Well, no, it wasn't that she didn't make eye contact. It's that I made eye contact with her, and she was surprised at my eye contact level. Like, it impressed her.
She brought it up.
Yeah, she was like, you make really good eye contact. And I was like, well, yeah, it's like being respectful, being present.
Yes.
Being in the moment. She's like, you haven't you have been around me a lot. So you know how addicted I am to my phone. But I'm capable of putting the thing down and having a proper interaction with somebody. And to me, eye contact is really important.
Yeah.
Because it's like your eyes, I think, it shows respect. It shows that you're engaged with the conversation. I don't look at Brian as much during the video because we lose the audio. But I think it's respectful. It shows you're engaged in the conversation. You can read the cues, right, in the person's face.
Yep.
And you can understand what they're saying, the emotional part of it and all that. And it's kind of a losing thing. But I know I always make an effort, and it's really, I don't think, this is one of those things that if you hear it enough, you get, because I don't think I was good at it when I was a kid because I was really, really shy.
Right.
I don't think I made really good eye contact, but now I'm, I guess, pretty good at it.
Yep.
I think it's because somebody told me it, and like, I just remember it. So like for me, with my kid, it's like, I'll give him a freaking little slap in the chin.
Yeah.
Especially if we're ordering at a restaurant.
Yeah. Yeah.
He'll be like, can I get whatever? He's not looking at a device, but he's just looking down because he doesn't really want to. He's shy. He doesn't want to make eye contact.
Yeah.
I'm like, freaking get your head up.
Yeah.
Get your freaking head up.
Yeah.
And then inevitably.
Oh, the worst thing, I'm glad you brought that up because it saddens me when I see any of and most of my kids don't do that anymore. The youngest one still does it sometimes. You'll introduce him to someone or he'll be having a conversation and his chin will tuck just a little bit. That little movement right there is such a subtle, like, lack of confidence.
Well, yeah, it's fear.
Just that right there.
It's biological.
Do it again like this. Just do that.
It's biological.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, no, it's so natural.
How does that lead to? I wonder what the thing. I mean, I think of it as a fighting thing. Shannon said we should talk boxing more, so we will. One of the first things you learn in boxing training, is this. Right?
Protect yourself.
Oh, you protect your chin.
Right.
Tuck your chin, right? Because your shoulders will. You can, here you can.
But you're also got your head up, right? So it's like you're trying to do both things, right? Because you can't look down.
Your eyes are up, but your chin is so. But I'm thinking
only like this, right? Because your chin's down and your eyes are out.
But what I'm thinking of, why when someone is not comfortable, do they do that? Well, one is the eye contact. I think
it's the fear. It's
the fear of eye contact.
It's fear of other people.
Yeah,
because I think this is like one of those things that you wonder, like, why is there racism, right? And you're like, it's because racism is taught. I think it's the opposite. I think that when you're born, you gain this immediate connection with the people that you see immediately.
Yeah.
Right. When you're freaking 0 years old.
Yeah.
These people.
Yeah.
And then anybody else from the outside, you're skeptical of.
Right.
And it's a defense mechanism that is ingrained in us because back in the day, we were at war all the time, right? Because resources were scarce. So like if somebody was coming in from a different tribe, they were coming in to freaking steal your shit, take your shit.
Right.
Or they were going to kill you. So it's like you learned to be afraid. It's like we're afraid, like fear of snakes or like things like that. There's things that are just instinctual,
yes.
right? It's like nobody had to teach us to be afraid of snakes. We didn't have to know that snakes are dangerous.
Right.
We just are freaking afraid of them.
Yeah. That
right?
freaky thing without
and
legs.
So as humans, we're afraid of other people. So I think that's what it is. I think it's fear. And then you have to teach them. I don't think it's the other way. I don't think being afraid of other is taught as much as being comfortable with other. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I think you have to teach how to be comfortable with people outside of your environment because our natural inclination is to be shy and to hide. The kids hide.
Right.
Right. You see them hide behind you, right? Especially when they're this big and they hide behind your leg. I think that's so natural.
Yeah.
I think it has nothing to do with us teaching them you have to be afraid of these people because they're different than us. I think the natural inclination is we're skeptical of these other people because we're not sure what they're up to. What are you up to?
Yeah.
And then we have to teach them to be comfortable. And so part of that is get your head up, make eye contact. And it's like uncomfortable, right? Eye contact can be uncomfortable.
The other thing that I like to do, and I think this comes from being shorter in stature.
You're shorter?
And no, you can't.
You stand so tall, though.
Thank you. But being shorter in stature, especially when you're younger and that stuff really is like matters. Throughout those early young adolescent years, height is prized, right? Remember the kids in high school, how tall, because no one's really developed up, for the most part, most kids haven't developed a lot of strength at that time. So the height equates to dominance, right? They're just bigger naturally. But
still does. You're hanging out with like a freaking 6'5" dude.
Oh yeah, without a doubt.
That dude's impressive.
Yeah. Well, I'm not disagreeing with any of that. I'm just saying it's even more of a gap when you're younger. But point is that as I started to build my confidence, eye contact became a big one for me. Of all right, I'm always going to make eye contact for that reason, right? To bridge the gap of like I'm a look at you on equal level, even if I'm looking up a little bit, right? But the other thing I tend to do is I'll close the space. So if there's someone a lot bigger than me, right, which, anyone over 6 feet's a lot bigger than me. So when I meet them I'll make good eye contact and I will advance in. Like I'll almost invade a little bit of their personal space.
You're a close talker?
No, but I
do bit of a close talker.
I consciously do that. I'm not a close talker. I consciously do that because I want that other person to feel like they need to back up a little bit, because there is something to being said for making someone take a step back.
So you're looking at a little bit of as a dominance kind of like respect. Through my eye contact with you, I'm showing you that I'm here for it.
Right.
I'm here for it.
There's a lot of different.
Yeah, I'm here for it.
Right. And I think there's a lot of different ways we can look at this, but it is so important because it is a piece of, like you said, it's a piece of being able to connect with a person and let them know you're caring and listening. It's also a piece of establishing your confidence with someone. And I added that other piece in just because like I do the in conjunction. So I will look you in the eye and I'll just engage a little bit into your personal space.
Yeah, I'm freaking here for it.
Right.
I'm
with you.
Here for
and
it.
I'm also like comfortable with like.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, if you look at just like the world as like the competitive theater, which I think it is, and you clearly think it is.
I
think that's important. Yeah, I think it's important for. Well, I think that there's other conversations out there that don't recognize that.
Wow.
That would be more of the
Silly.
touchy-feely reason that you make eye contact.
And I'm all for touchy-feely.
Right.
But you do a great job of bringing this conversation back to when we were living in caves.
Right.
You always do that really well. And it's brought me around again to always remember that.
Right.
A lot of it comes back to.
Because my background is in social biology, and no, it's not in any of that.
Oh, I'm
probably just full of shit.
You're not full of shit. You understand the topic well, and
we're all just trying to figure out a frame of reference, right? And we came, even at the eye contact thing, we came at it differently. I like that because we're talking about fatherhood. We're not talking about you now.
Right.
We're talking about what we're going to teach
our kids to do that.
Right. So I think that's interesting to look at it as a way of like, what you're constantly competing, even though you don't think that you're competing. Right. And it doesn't mean that you need to win, but it means that you need to be there for the competition. And so one of the ways that you're there for the competition is by making eye contact and closing the gap. Right. You're with your body and with your eye contact, you're saying, I'm here. Right. So hopefully you're here too, and we can play on the same level. But if you're not here for it, just so you know, I'm the alpha.
Yeah.
I'm the man. And that's an interesting way of looking at it. And I think that, like, where does success come from? So we're trying to build our kids, and it's like, I hate to look at it skeptically from the caveman perspective again, but like we want our kids to be I don't need my kid to be freaking Elon Musk, the richest man in the world. I don't even want that for him. I want him to be freaking healthy and not be a mental case. Right. But I do want him to be comfortable enough where he's not ever backing down from stuff, right? You want him to be in the so that he's never getting stepped on.
Yeah.
Right? You don't want him to step all over people and be an asshole. But you don't want him to be the one who's being stepped on. Right. So part of that is just making eye contact, being confident, sticking your chest out and saying, I'm here. So you're not going to walk all over me. Doesn't mean I'm going to be threatening to you, but if you freaking put your head down, right, you don't make eye contact with me, oof, I'm the alpha.
Right. There's a great video out right now that's kicking around on social media, and it's these two kids, probably like 6 years old, right? Six, right in that range, first grade, and it's either like a jiu-jitsu or judo, or it's one of those matches, right? And it looks like one pins the other. I don't know if there's pinning in judo, by the way, so that would help me understand a little better.
Judo's all about throwing, right?
Yeah, it is. But so the reason why I feel like one kid pins the other kid, which it feels like wrestling. But if you look at their outfits, they're not wrestling outfits. They're more like jiu-jitsu or judo.
Like jiu-jitsu, then, right?
But you don't pin in jiu-jitsu. That's the only part that got me a little off. Anyways, without going into that, 2 6-year-olds, and they're walking onto the mat, and mom or dad or someone's recording it, and this one kid has this look on his face the whole time, right? And his eyes are. You're worried about that where you put that cup?
Well, I kind of like the stuff back here.
Oh yeah,
it's like we're in Rhode Island, leaving your children. We're doing fatherhood, and Cuddy Sark is our early sponsor.
So one kid is walking, and he's walking towards the camera, so you can see him. And he's got this look on his face where his brow is furrowed. His eye is locked on this other kid, and his lips aren't moving. They're flat and not moving. And he does not break that stare from when he comes onto the mat to get ready to shake hands till they blow the whistle for the thing. He is locked. His eyes are locked, and he is just... And then the minute they blow the whistle, those eyes stay on that kid's eyes, and he just advances toward him. And you watch the other kid just retreat. He gets grabbed, he gets thrown, he gets pinned. It's over in like 30 seconds. But the kid won the match before it even started. And he won it with the eye contact and intense like gaze. And I bring this up because it's such a great example of what we're talking about today, in the power of, in multiple ways, the power that eye contact can have. It can have that simple act can make people feel heard, make them feel together with you, but it can also make them feel like you're going to fucking rip their head off in about 30 seconds.
This conversation has gone a completely different direction than I thought it was, but I'm here for it. I like it. I like that it's taken that direction because I think it is very biological and animalistic. And I do think that there was something I wanted to bring up, but like staying with the fighting, right? And we're kind of going away from eye contact, but I think it's important. I was listening to a comedian, and actually, Ed O'Neill, who was married with children.
Yeah,
he was with Modern Family. Yeah. Supposedly, he's a fucking really badass. Like he grew up like
I saw a documentary on him.
He grew up like tough.
Yeah.
And like
yes.
If he didn't kill somebody, he was going to get killed.
Yeah, he was a fighter.
And he
right?
escaped into acting, which is freaking really kind of interesting. But during the conversation, he was talking to a comedian, and the comedian was in a fight when he was younger. He was talking about something his father taught him, which I think is a good lesson. Which we're almost going to different. This is a whole. We're like in the fighting thing, and like it's Shannon's fault. It's Shannon's fault. But we're talking about fighting, but. He was saying, and I think this is a good life lesson, is you get into a fight with somebody, you're way better off taking the beating than you are escaping, because when people look at you in the future and you take the beating, they're going to remember it very differently than if you tried to get away. You know what I mean? Like in terms of like the way that you're looked at. Like if you stood up to the beating, it's one thing, but it's another thing if you like freaking snuck away somehow, or like you turn the other, not turn the other cheek. That's the kind of the Catholic kind of like be the better person. But I mean like if you kind of ducked away and you didn't confront it, like you'll be remembered as the person who like kind of ran away from it. Like as like you don't want to be Yella, you want to be a chicken.
Yeah,
like, that follows you way more than taking the beating.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
No, it's true. It is true.
But can we go back to just making eye contact? Because I think it all works together, which is good. But I want to go back to the fact that we're fathers, and so how we're teaching this to our kids and how important it is. So it is important from this kind of biological kind of perspective. One of the things that when we started doing these videos, and I'd done some public speaking, not a ton.
Yeah.
And I was a coach as well. I think being a coach, a big part of that is making eye contact with your players,
especially with the young kids.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. Yeah. Because it's all about communication. But when we were doing these videos and we were getting like the first couple, and you're getting feedback. You and I both sent it out to people. What do you think? And I still get this every once in a while. I'll do a reel or whatever. And I won't make great, like, I see this as well because I edit the videos.
Yep.
And when I'll be doing this a lot. Maybe I go talking while I'm doing this. And like, that is like a fucking cue to my not being 100% confident in what I'm about to say.
Huh.
You know what I mean? It's like,
yeah.
If I'm doing
if you're
this,
an FBI analyst, you would break that down that way.
Yeah, exactly. Huh? Or like if I had my hands in my pockets, which is like, it's like, oh, you're that. When you do that,
yep,
you're not confident in what you're saying, which is interesting. But the eye contact's a big one. Like if you're looking around when someone's talking to you like that is like either they're trying to hide something or they're just not confident in what they're saying.
Right.
Which is interesting.
Yeah.
So like
and very subconscious.
From a father perspective, look him in the eye when you talk to him.
Right.
Like constantly.
Yeah.
It's like, I guess it's like old school now, huh?
Yeah.
Are we old school?
No, I think it'll never go
you're
away.
Gen Z, so
we're trying to teach.
How did you learn it?
We're trying to teach also. One of there's IQ. Your kids' IQ, and then their intellectual ability to have a good emotional intelligence. And for kids, teaching emotional intelligence is hard. So much of that is ingrained in a kid. But a skill set that will drastically improve or uptick their emotional intelligence is, hey, listen, start paying attention to people. Right. Start like just looking around and examining their face, like look them in the eye, but also just examine people's faces. You're going to pick up on all these little nuances, right? The story we talked about with the two little jiu-jitsu boys, that was a very extreme example, but the nuances of that are there in everything we do. Mm. So as we look people in the eye, we pick up on their nuances. We see how they're feeling. We can see into their soul in some ways, as wooey and jewy as that is, like you can see someone's soul when you look into their eyes and how they're feeling. And if the more you do it, it's like anything, play a video game long enough, you can master the level, start paying attention to people's eyes and their facial movements. You can master like how they're feeling.
I like how this conversation has gone a completely different direction than I thought it was going to go. Because I feel like I'm usually the cynical one and you're usually kind of the touchy-feely one. Mm-hmm. I feel like I've taken the other way. Like I look at it, I love what you're saying because it's all true. It's all great. It's good for our kids if they're going to be part of this competitive theater that is life.
Yep.
They want to be here for it, right? And they want to have an edge, right? What's the edge? You can read people.
Yeah.
Right, that's a huge edge compared to people who've been looking at their phones growing up and they don't understand the world. Yep. But I do think that there's a part of respect and caring and emotion and like when my child. So if I'm in a restaurant, I've been working on this a lot. If I'm in a restaurant now, you can really see it when you start hanging out. There's like a point, you probably remember this because your kids are a little bit older. There's a point in your life where now the kids are like 9 or 10 and now you're hanging out more with other families because you've been to sports or whatever it is. Now you go to a restaurant together with the other kids and the other kids are not doing any of this. They're not making eye contact with the waitress. They're not doing any of that. And what is inevitably happens, the waitress feels like the interaction with your child who made eye contact, who ordered for themselves is like way better. They're like really impressed. Like that's an impressive thing. Eye contact impressed. Like I was on that date. She was impressed by my eye contact. It impressed them.
She was impressed by those beautiful eyes.
Yeah, it impresses the waitress or waiter when my child make eye contact. It impressed the other parents.
Yeah.
It's like, wow, like my kid freaking, I have to order for my own kid. Like the kid's freaking buried in the tablet thing that they have on the table. You know what I mean? Like it's just, it makes other people feel better about you when you make good eye contact.
Yep.
Because they have a sense that you're engaged, respectful.
Yeah.
That you're communicating with your eyes what you want. And I think it's so important. So it's like the cynical way where it's like we're in the competitive theater, but also like this respect and emotional connection that you're making as well. So important. So how do we,
well, Patrick,
how do you do it, Brian? How do you do it?
How do I do it?
Yeah. How did you, how about this? You have what? 17 kids?
Yep.
From 3 different marriages?
Yep.
Yeah. And a couple of kids from no marriages. Which is impressive as a 29-year-old.
Yes.
And
I'm very impressed.
Some of them are in their 20s too, which is kind of crazy. But how do you feel your kids are? Mm-hmm. And what did you do to either get them there, or what were mistakes?
They vary with
some of them were the ex's fault. You know what I mean? Like what
no. They vary with this.
Yeah.
You know, they really do. And there's one that really struggles with it, and it is what it is. You know, you can teach it as much as you want,
right? And some of it's
they
genetic,
or their comfort level, and but I will say that I don't teach it as directly as we're talking about it today, but we impart certain.
But might you have or no?
No, we talk about it. I think we implement things that force it to happen more. But this conversation is great because it definitely has got my mind thinking along lines of, hey, you know, there's some things we could teach them a little better about, like explaining this to them. And one being the ability to read people better if you just make that conscious effort. Right. But we do it through almost the secondary way is we remove the exterior distractions, which naturally forces the focus on the people
remove technology and
things like that, which is a passive way to the active conversation we're having. Right. But from this conversation, and this is one of the things that I like about our conversations is we're not doing everything we talk about. We are never 100% on it.
No,
right?
Of course not. No.
And
some of the things that we've talked about,
and sometimes I fail at them all the time.
I've been like, geez, like, you know, Brian's way better than this, or like,
and vice versa.
Like my kid's freaking struggling with this, or whatever it is, you know.
So
I feel like parent guilt all the time about stuff that the freaking kids are doing. You're like, how did I?
Yeah.
What did I do wrong? Yeah.
Yes.
So go ahead. Sorry.
No, but to your point, this conversation has been very enlightening for me in. I'm going to be more direct with the conversation not in a punitive way.
Of course not. Yeah.
Right. But in a way of, hey, listen, we talk about we ask for this all the time. Let me tell you how this can benefit you.
Yeah.
Right. And engage and I try to meet my kids where they are.
Right.
Like the chapter in the book. And I've been sending them Instagram, TikToks that talk to this point, like that judo thing I sent to the kids. I'm like, look at this. Look at the power that this kid held just with the nonverbals, and the eye contact. So it's good stuff, though. I love
it is good stuff. Really, really good. I like look in the eye. I think is important. Do you do the handshake thing too?
Yeah. So always engage, and like I said, engage and invade a little bit of that personal space as a way to assert yourself as being there.
Yeah, I'm there. I'm here for it.
Yeah,
I like that. Yeah. I like that a lot. Good stuff.
I think the eyes have it.
The eyes have it. Good finish. What do you think of our new microphone? Vote. So we've decided to put our microphones in a new spot. I feel more comfortable.
I like it. I do. It is more comfortable on the table. So Shannon loves it. She's happy with it. And that's all that matters. Yeah.
Wasn't it?
All the good ideas are our ideas. We just sit here and look gorgeous.
Always. Because we're so young.
Teach your kids eye contact. There's millions of benefits for it out there.
Look them in the eye.
Look them in the eye when you talk to them.
It's an important lesson for your child. And I think that as well, like the one part I want to go back to, which I kind of started with, is that they might not be good at it, but it's like anything. The more you repeat it, the more they kind of get it through osmosis, and then they just kind of think it's important.
Yep.
And when they get to become an adult, you might not think some of the things you don't think they're going to be good at, they just are good at. And it's like you've told them so many times.
And model it.
Yeah,
Don't
you model. You got to model it. But I think that it's like anything. You have to be in a situation where it benefits you.
Yes.
And as a kid, you might not be in that situation for a while, but then once you're in it and you see that you had success with it, that's when it becomes success breeds success, right? And now it's hardwired. They have to have success with it first, and you can't necessarily do that right away.
Yep.
But if you teach them the importance of it all the time, then they get into a situation where they have success with it without you around. Now it's ingrained, and now they're like, I remember it, and like they don't remember where they heard it from, but they heard it.
Love it. Good stuff. I'm Brian LaFauci.
Patrick Marino.
Until next time.
Thank you.